Addison Rae stars as Paget Sawyer, a social media influencer who isn't as well off as she leads her followers and friends to believe. One day, when trying to surprise her aspiring rapper boyfriend Jordan Van Drainen with some cupcakes, she walks in on him cheating with a backup dancer. This causes Paget to flip out live in front of all of her followers, a significant amount of whom decide to unfollow her, which is weird because you'd think that a situation such as this one would only bring more followers to your account, but it's movie logic, so I guess anything goes. Added to her loss of followers, Paget also loses her sponsorships and of course gets made fun of online. Eager to get her status back and prove that she doesn't need Jordan, Paget makes a bet with one of her friends that she can turn an absolute nobody into prom king. That turns out to be Cameron Queller, played by Tanner Buchanan, and I think you know what happens from there. It all starts off as just a bet for Paget, but once she actually gets to know Cameron, she starts to fall for him. So first, let's start with the positives. First of all, it has good acting. Pretty much all around for the entire cast. I think everyone did a great job with their roles. Obviously, these are very thin characters. There isn't much to them, actually. There's not that much to latch on to anybody. But as these cliche characters go, I think that they were well played by everyone involved. Of course, Addison Rae is most eyes were on her to see if she was going to deliver a good role. And in my opinion, I think she did. I think she did a great job. Well, not great. I think she did a good job as Paget Sawyer and playing. It's all right. Like, it's not a demanding role or anything like that, but I think given the circumstances that she had to portray, I think that she portrayed it convincingly. Alright, so like I said, everyone did a great job. Standouts to me were Addison Rae, but the best performance I think in the movie came from Peyton Meyer. From Peyton Meyer. Peyton Meyer played the Matthew Lillard role, the role that Matthew Lillard played in the first film, basically, which is basically the asshole boyfriend character. In the original film, Matthew Lillard played a reality star, a reality TV star, sort of like a Big Brother type of thing. And in here, Peyton Meyer plays Jordan Van Drainen, who is a aspiring rapper. And of course, he's terrible. Even if they tried to make him good, I think he'd still be terrible. But I think they really went out of their way to make him seem terrible. When I think like it would have been more funnier if he was actually trying, show him working at his craft. I think that would have been actually funny. But anyway, but it's basically he's a fun character. I thought he was really well played. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed his role. But basically, all around, I think everyone did a great job with the role. The characters are very thin, but I think they're well played, and that made it work for me. The only bad acting in the film, in my opinion, came from, of course, who would have expected this? Kourtney Kardashian. She played basically a version of herself. I think she's in the movie for only 2 minutes, 3 minutes at the absolute most. But she gives the worst performance overall. But I think she did a good job in the role, which is weird because she did a bad job, but her doing a bad job made it good somehow. I'm not sure, but I think that it worked, basically. Okay, my second positive is good pacing. For the most part, this movie is forgivably very, very short. It's an hour and 31 minutes, which is just as long as it has to be. It keeps things going. They don't have anything new to offer here. It's not that funny. It's not really even funny, sorry. It's not anything special, so I think that keeping it short was a good choice to make. But that also, because to remind you, I just said good pacing for the most part, so that leads into my first negative, which is the rushed climax. I think once it got up to that 2/3 point in the film, I think that they really said, yeah, you know what's about to happen, so let's just wrap everything up. As soon as the usual thing that happens in these movies when the two romantic leads get this wedge put in between them and then they come together at the end of the film. Basically, when that part's about to happen, I think it just races to the end from there. Yeah, everything just went by a bit too fast for it to have any sort of lasting impact or anything like that, or to really leave any impact at all. It just kind of rushed the climax, and I did not like that. Alright, my second negative and my biggest problem with this movie, the biggest problem with this movie in my opinion, was that they messed up the iconic "Am I a bet? Am I a fucking bet?" line. If you know anything, or if you, I should say, if you remember anything about the original 1999 She's All That, then you remember, like since PG-13, they basically only have a few, or I think it's just like one, like they're allowed one use of a serious swear word. And the one that they chose was the iconic line from Rachel Lee Cook, "Am I a bet? Am I a fucking bet?" And I think, in the original, it had more grit to it, it had more weight to it. I think how Rachel delivered the line was really, really good and really stood out in that film as this huge climactic moment. But in He's All That, they really messed it up. Like, of course, since it's gender swapped, instead of female character saying it, it was Tanner Buchanan's character, Cameron Queller. And this also kind of coincides with the previous point that I just made with the rushed climax, because this was like the big point that was supposed to cause the climax to happen. And since they were rushing everything, basically rushing to end the movie, when he said that line, it had absolutely no weight to it. They just brushed past it. They were just like, yeah, we're gonna pay homage to the first film, we're gonna use the iconic line, but we're not gonna put any actual effort into it. Like, I think he could have delivered that line way better. I think they could have made that a way bigger moment than it ended up being. It doesn't ruin the film in my opinion, but I think it was just a really big disappointment seeing them not get it right. So that's basically all of my positives and negatives about the film. So now that's before I forget, before we move into the final consensus of my overall thoughts of the film, I almost forgot to mention Matthew Lillard and Rachel Lee Cook's performances in this film, because they were really good. Of course, they're not the main characters this time around, but they do a really good job. I don't know, they were barely in the movie, of course, but just seeing Matthew Lillard on the screen here, he played the principal and Bossk in the movie, and it's weird how good this guy is. He was in the movie for 3 minutes at best, just like Kourtney Kardashian, but he left a huge impact on the film. He was mostly there for the climax, dancing and stuff, but it was weird just how good he is. That's just how enigmatic of a character he is, and he did a really, really good job with that. Rachel Lee Cook, she played Addison Rae's mother. I thought they had some good enough chemistry, and that's about it. She did a good job as well. So now that that's my positives, my negatives, all my points about the film, let's move into the final consensus to bring us home.
Ultimately, I think that He's All That is a decent teen comedy film. The characters are, as expected, pretty thin and cliche, but they're also well acted and surprisingly likable. The movie knows not to take up a lot of your time, so it keeps things moving at a good pace for the most part. Of course, it doesn't hold a candle to the 1999 original, but it does have its own little charm that kept me smiling for the film's runtime. Which is why I give He's All That a 5.5 out of 10. It's no All the Boys I've Loved Before, but it's definitely not soul-sucking garbage like the Kissing Booth franchise. I'd rather see 1,000 more Addison Rae movies than have to sit through a single other movie like those ones.
And that's it. Those are my thoughts about He's All That. What are your thoughts about the film? And honestly, I am truly interested in seeing more Addison Rae movies. I think that she really proved herself in this film. Of course, it wasn't anything phenomenal or anything like that, like any sort of serious, meaty role that she had to play. But I think that she did a good job. I think that she did a really great job with what she was given. And I'd like to see more of her in films. So that's about it. It's a great film, 5.5 out of 10. What do you think? Do you like the film? Do you hate the film? Do you agree with my points? What are your thoughts? Feel free to share it in the comments below. And I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.